Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am, as you can see, filming my September wrap up. September went really well. I think I ended up reading 26 books. I read 9,000 something pages. I calculated this yesterday. And then I don't have it in front of me. Wait. 9,016 pages. So like it's not my best month. Obviously August was much better. I read 37 books. But this is not my worst month at all. Like it went really super well. I had 17 books on my bookoplathon TBR. So obviously I read more than that, which is also great. And then I also did roll-the-rainbowthon and readathons. I did 2 readathons in a month and had a really great time. So I'm just gonna go through all of them and talk a bit about each of them. Obviously some longer and shorter than others. I have a review of a lot of these as well, since a lot of them are arcs. And let's just go. I would just go in the order of my rolls or something, even though that's not the order I read the books in. But it's fine. Where is even the book? I cannot find it. The first book we're going to talk about is Once Upon a Broken Heart. This I roll for spring for the bookoplathon board. And it's by Stephanie Garber. It's the first one in this series. I basically just read and bought this because I had the second book as an arc and I felt like I needed to read that, you know, to read a second book as an arc. And this one just follows Evangeline, and she gets her family cursed because the love of her life was going to marry her stepsister. She thought they had been cursed or something, but they hadn't. And then she says them and becomes kind of a bit famous for this. She goes to like a different kingdom and gets a thing with a prince there. And then there's just like curses. And when she like went to the deal with like a knave to like get help with like her sister and stuff, he says he owes her 3 kisses. And then not like to kiss him, but to kiss other people. And then there's just like curses and like a lot of battle between her and this knave. Basically it's a romance. And then we have like twists and fairy tales and stuff. It's a fun time, but it's not like the best book ever. I did read a second book, which I just realized the order in these are a bit stupid because I realized it's just better to show this here now. It doesn't matter. This one was to read a book from a TBR game, a book I'd never seen before, as well as the second prompt for the Rainbowthon, which was blue, and like the other cover of this is blue. I can have a full review of this on my channel, but basically here I think just the main character was stupid. She's here too, but I just think the curses here that was introduced was cooler, but I could have just spent more time, you know, actually doing that instead of like being horny, but they weren't fully horny because they're holding back because it's a YA. And it was just like this frustrating thing where like, are we trying to be horny or are we trying to be a cool thing? I think I gave Bow like 3 out of 5 stars. I don't hate them by any means. I think they're very fun and interesting, like just a fun ride, but it's like, it's not the best thing in the world, and I got like annoyed at certain aspects of the story. But yeah, again, full review down below. Also realized that these do not match because this is a US arc and this is a UK paperback, but such is life sometimes. I then read Knock 2 Times, which for bookoplathon was a book published between 2000 and 2019, and for Rainbowthon it was a prompt to read a seasonal read, which basically was like an orgy as well, and I think like witches and stuff, you know. It's very seasonal for autumn, so I thought it was perfect. I decided to do the audiobook because David Tennant is the 3rd book in the Wizard of One's series, and I absolutely had a great time with it. So the series basically follows Wish and the other dude that I cannot remember the name of, Sar, and Sar is the son of a warlock, or Wish is the son of a warlock / magic hunter, and like her mother hates magic, and it turns out that Wish has magic, and Sar does not. And then they meet and become friends and just chaos ensues and it's just the best thing, whereas these witches are coming back, which is like the evil people with magic, and it's a whole thing, and it's really great fun, and I recommend the whole series a lot. It's just a great time, and now I only had the last book left. Then I read The Mask Falling, which was only for bookoplathon, and there was a chance card where I was going to read Mask Falling, which is the 4th book and the latest one released in the bonus season series, and not my favorite series, to be honest. I think I've given all the books in the series 2 stars. And he's like, it's okay. Like, I don't hate them, but I don't like them either. It's like they're okay. And this one I would say is my favorite in the series so far. I feel like I was really into the story. Like, I wanted to know what happened next, and I thought it was interesting with the different setting, and it was just like an interesting book. But I still just have frustrations with it where I just feel like we go around, talk with someone, something happens, we talk with someone, something happens. But it's not like the writing always holds the back what's happening. Doesn't feel exciting. It just like feels like, oh, this happened. It should feel really emotional, but I don't feel the emotions because I feel like the writing is very flat for me. But yeah, I basically follows Paige Mahoney, who is a, what's it called, clairvoyant, and then clairvoyants are illegal, and then she's caught in like this futuristic London, and then she's sent to this place, and then stuff happens to her that happens with Coronians, but you don't know what, so you need to read the first book to find out. And while this is actually my favorite in the series, and I think, I don't know, I'm gonna keep reading it and finish it, I think it's still getting 2 stars, or 2.5, but rounding it down to 2, which is weird. But yeah, I don't know why I keep reading a series like I don't love, but I feel like now I read so many books in the series that I gotta continue, I guess. Then I read Beasts of Prey by Anna Gray, which was for bookoplathon to read a book featuring romance, and for the rainbowthon to read a book with PSC wrap, and that was green, and this like has that one of the green mythic colors we could choose. And this one for our main character, Coffee, was a beekeeper, and it's like, I was gonna say like a circus thingy like states, a zoo, that's what it's called. Then stuff happens at the zoo, then she needs to go out to hunt this other beast, and then we have our other main character, Econ, who is like supposed to be a warrior monk, and then this stuff happens that he needs to go hunt after this beast, and the 2 main characters meet, obviously. And actually it was just such a good time. It was written so well. I just love how like stuff came together, and I feel like a lot of things were like you think is a certain way, and it was really good at like being like, no, it's like this. And I thought it was just such a good time. I honestly enjoyed it so much. I feel like, yes, the romance was a bit like predictable and stuff, but I think like that's fine, and the ending was totally crazy. I'm very excited to see what's gonna happen in the sequel, which I do also have, and I honestly like loved it a lot, and it was just such a ride. The atmosphere was just beautiful, and I just loved the characters a lot, and I just loved like the different dynamics they had. And yeah, very strong 4 out of 5 stars for this one. And then I read School for Good and Evil for a big book, which is a bit funny because it literally was not over 500 pages. It was like 488, so me. And then also for Rainbowthon, I chose the dark blue color for this one prompt, and then this edition I have is like super purple and not even the blue, but the blue is like on the like digital cover, at least an older version of the cover, not the one I have. So literally the 2 prompts I chose it for, it didn't even fit for those anymore, but I read it regardless because I wanted to read it for my roll-the-rainbowthon challenge, because it was to do with like light and dark, if we had good and evil and Tyler, I didn't know what else to read for that, so I just rolled with it. And yeah, I didn't know, you know, the plot for this, even though like I'd known about the series for of course many years. It's coming on Netflix movie now, I'm super excited to watch that. But basically we have like children who are stolen to go out to the School for Good and Evil. We have our main characters, whereas one of them believe they are belonging in School for Good, the other one believe they belong in the School for Evil. And it's just like they're trying to switch around again, and the things they do to do this shows what it really are. It really like bends and talks about, you know, what it means to be evil and what it means to be good, and I love a conversation that I like always. And in the end, it's just actually a story about friendship. It's a story about what you would do for your best friend or someone you think is your friend, and it's just very interesting. I love the twist, whereas you think it's gonna go a certain way, but then it's like, no, this is good, this is evil, and they're doing this and this, and I adored how it was set up, and I can definitely see why this series is so popular. It was a really good one, and I'm really excited to continue the series. I do believe it's quite a few books in it, 5, 6, I don't even know, and I do want to read them all. I had a really great time, so I'm really glad I read it, and I'm really excited to see visually in the movie, even though I have a feeling it will be a bit different, but as long as they keep the soul of the story, you know, about their friendship and like what is good, what is evil, I think I will be fine. And I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Seared by Sandra Gustafsson. This one I read for the book that was lowest rated on your TBR on Goodreads, which is, I haven't even added all my books on Goodreads, but it's fine. And then for Rainbowthon, I chose like the color red because I thought it was like similar-ish. And this one I had for many years, and I wanted it in a Goodreads giveaway, but I never read it because, well, I just lost interest in it, and it's like the only Goodreads giveaway I ever won. But now I read it, so there is that. And we follow Helena, and she's incarcerated, it says here, and then like she sees this psychologist, and then every week we talk about like her life and what had happened, and basically it's a lot about her being in this relationship with a married man. I assume she was a minor at this time, but it seems like she was not. I'm really confused about the timeline. She might have been a minor, I don't know actually. It's a very confusing book. I guess our main character is quite confused and severely traumatized for different things that are happening in her life. So I was gonna keep to the spirit of the book while keeping us confused because our main character is confused, I don't know. But overall I just thought it was messy. messy with jumping back and forth in these flashbacks. I don't really see the point of the story. She clearly has gone through a lot of trauma. It's a very sad book. It has a lot of sad parts in it. Trigger warning for like sexual assault, etc. But it is just a mess. Like, the book was written messy. I didn't really like it. I didn't really like get to fully immerse myself in the story. I feel like it carries so many heavy and important and sad topics, but it didn't really try to do anything with them. It was just like, this happened, and then we were just in a just jumble mess. So yeah, I give it like 2 out of 5 stars. And I mean, now I read it, but I just never want to think about it again now, which is great. Then I read A Golden Fool by Robin Hobb. This was also a chance card, and this one is the second book in the Taming Man trilogy, which, you know, continues the Realm of the Elden Ring. We are now, this is like the 3rd series in the Realm of the Elden Rings, but I'm just taking my sweet time. And the first series in the Realm of the Elden Ring, Full of Fits, who is the bastard son of the king in waiting, that leaves his throne, his inheritance instantly when he finds out about this, and Fitz just lives and grows up in his castle where they really don't know what to do with him, because he's like, he's royalty, but you know, he's a bastard, etc. And this one just continues his series. I can't really talk that much about this if you haven't read the first ones, because like, it does continue, you know, with the same characters, and obviously I don't want to spoil kind of what happens in book 5 with the same characters, but it's just the political intrigue, the story, how this plot behind here has nothing to do with what actually happened in this book. But I love it so much. It is like, you know, one of my favorites. The writing is so good. You care about the characters so deeply and fiercely because you spent so much time with them, and it's just one of my favorites, and I loved it a lot, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So did I give it 5 out of 5 stars? I feel like I did. I think I gave the first one in series 4 though. I don't remember why, but I did. Then I read Extraordinary by V. Schwab. This is a comic, brilliant short story belonging to the Villains books. I read this for the letter V for bookoplathon because V is Schwab, that's why I chose it. And for roll-the-rainbowthon, I chose it for A Cozy Evening, and it was like pinkish, and this pinkish color was on the thing we could choose. And I really enjoyed this. To be honest, I was a bit confused sometimes about the timeline in this parallel to the timeline in Vicious, but at the same time, I did get it in the end. It just was that Red Rushes, and it made me really fiercely want to reread it. Is that gonna happen? Probably not, but I do really want to. And I just loved how like we merged together with other characters in the world, but also just met new characters with different powers. Because if you don't know, in this world where you have a near-death experience, you most likely get a superpower, and it's really cool. And here we just follow our main character that happens to, and like she is known into this world. Definitely read villains missions before this for it to make sense. I think you safely can do that, and it's the best thing, and I love it dearly, and I want to hug it. Okay, so I don't remember what I rated it. 5, 4, I don't know. Then I read Rusty Root by Justina Ireland. I have a full review of this on my channel, so I won't spend that long talking about it. But I read it for first person perspective for bookoplathon, and this one is set in 1937 in America. Racist time, we have a main character who's black, and she wants to start a bakery, but that doesn't go so well. People don't want to hire her because of her skin color, and then she starts to work in like the government where mages work, because they try to get rid of this what's it called, not plague, rust. She tried to get rid of the rust, and then she works closely with these other people. It's queer romance here as well. She is just working for government, and I need to go on this mission. I keep recommending this to people like Miss Perry's for Curious Drill Jump, because like creepy photos in it, and people like Annihilation, because it reminded me a lot of that when I went to this mission thing. It was a good time. I did enjoy it. I think I ended up giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars because I feel like the world could have been explored more, and I don't know, didn't care for what happened in like the mission, so that was a bit boring. But overall, interesting book with an interesting concept. I just wish it was explored more, but maybe in the sequel, if it comes one, we could do that. I don't know. But yeah, that was my thoughts. Then I read, which is actually my first read of the whole month, but it was just further down as a later roll. But I read Babel by Kwang, which is for the book was highest rated on your TBR, which obviously was Babel. And this one is one of the best books I ever read, and it is one of the favorite books I ever read, and I love it to pieces. And it follows Robin, who was taken from Canton to live in London and go to this translation institute when he's old of age, like in Oxford, because they need people who knows different languages to use the magic in this world. And Oxford kind of controls the whole world from their center with magic, and it's a whole thing. And can he stop this from happening, because he realizes this is maybe not so good? And it's just a whole thing about colonism, about privilege, about racism, and there's so many aspects of the story that I could talk about a lot, because I feel like I'm now talked about it so much, especially like in my vlog. I spent like 20 minutes of that vlog only talking about Babel. And I just feel like it spoke to me on a really deep level, and I'm in awe with this book and how our Crown wrote it, and it's just the most stunning and beautiful book, and I just love it so much. I want to hug it. I want to cry thinking about it, because it was just so good, and I'm giving it all the stars in the world. Not even 5 out of 5 stars, like all the stars. I don't have much more to say, because I just loved it so much, and I feel like, again, I could talk on and on and on, but we're just going to leave it with knowing that I love it and that I think this book is perfect. And that's it. Then I read Across the Green Grass Field for a small book, so a book under 300 pages, and I chose to color green for readathon, which is about my last readathon read. I read 7 books for that, so not all the books here, obviously, as you can tell, because I haven't mentioned it every time. And then we just continue the story of Wayward Children, and in this one we have a character that goes into another world, because Wayward Children follows kids that go into other worlds, and then they come back from them, and are depressed because they need to deal with our society again, and needs to go to like this home for children where they basically go to therapy to deal with the fact that they are here, and like go with other children who are going through the same thing, because it is often a world that is perfect for them, and then coming back here is like, ew, disgusting. So there's that, and it's not my favorite. I like didn't get why she went to this world. I was just like me, but then Sasha said it would make sense later, which is fine, but also I just was like, I don't really care, but I love the writing as always, and I love the stories, so good time. Then I read Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Tara Pratchett. This was to read a book published before 1999, and this one is also the book that ended up being my Patreon book club pick for September and October, so I posted a reading vlog exclusively for Patreon on that. I personally was a bit confused. I didn't hate it, didn't love it. It was just like a very confusing book. It was very confusingly written. It was hard to get into, follow exactly what happened at times. I feel like there was a lot of references I didn't get, because I get the book is a bit old, like compared to me. And there's just a man walking on a roof over there. He's just chilling up there. And I can see that super well from here, which is so random. Either way, it just follows an angel and demon trying to stop the apocalypse, because they like the world as it is. They've been walking there for like 6,000 years, and I thought that was interesting and fun. It's just like the humor is not really for me. The way it's written, it never made me laugh or never made me like feel like it was witty for me, except maybe like certain parts of it. But I get it, it's a bit chaotic book. It just was a bit too chaotic for me, I guess, just the way it was written. But yeah, I'm excited to watch the TV show. I feel like it's gonna make more sense then, which doesn't make any sense, but it makes sense, okay? And I ended up giving, I think, 3 out of 5, which is like, I didn't hate it, I didn't love it, I liked it, I liked the concept of it, I just didn't like how it was written, I guess. So, how the story was represented, I don't even know, but I think it's more like a me thing. And that's it. Then I read A Snake Falls to Earth by Darcy Little Badger, and this was to read a book for a TBR game where I pulled a TBR card from Jesse from both husbands' books, says TBR game, and I got an indigenous author, so that's why I ended up reading this one. This is author of Alatue, which I really did enjoy. How to explain this book, I really struggled. We have Nina, who's a leaping girl. She also always believed in like the stories, and she's trying to like read stories and live her life. And then we have Ollie, who's a cottonmouth kid from the Land of Spirits, and then he needs to come down to like the earth, and then they meet and like have to work together to stop this thing. And it's just a beautiful story, very much like involved with these indigenous myths and legends that Darcy has known. And it's just a really beautiful story. I really enjoyed it. It just felt like really magical, and it was a really good atmosphere, really well written. and I just had a good time. Look at this very, very cool naked hardback. Like, it's so cool. I just really also love how the author really focuses on family a lot in her stories, and just land also have a really big importance. And I am just having a good time with the author's books. I'm very excited to continue reading them. Oh yeah, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and that's what I remember. Yay. I then read Victories Greater Than Death by Charlie Jane Anders, which also was to spin this color wheel, and then I got purple, and this is a very purple book, as you can see. So underneath purple, I always forget that these are really cool. Look, it's so purple. So I feel like it fits really well. This is a sci-fi where we follow Tina, who known all her life that she's an alien, and one day her aliens are gonna come back and take her back because she has this stuff she needs to do. She just don't know what yet from aliens. And then she is taken one day, and he finds out that she needs to save the galaxy, basically. Then stuff happens. There's battles, etc. I think there's sequels, but basically I have a lot of trouble with believing the logic in this book, because they need help, and then they do this thing, and it still just does not make sense to me why they did this thing. It really actually frustrates me why they did this thing. It just doesn't make sense. The interest in the book was not there. I just feel like it was written very messily. The concept is cool, but didn't care for the characters. It's hard to remember now. I feel like such a long while since I read it, but I just didn't care, I guess. And I gave it like 2 out of 5 stars. Like, I liked it, but didn't love it, and just thought it was okay. Like, parts of it was just boring and like fell flat for me, I guess. Then I took a little risk because I read The Memory Librarian by Janelle Monáe, which is also the FAES pick for September. And they was to read a book featuring death, and I just assumed there would be death in it because it's sci-fi. I have read it now, but I guess there was like 1 death in it, maybe 2. So I guess it counts. But yeah, this is actually a collection of short stories, 5 short stories, which follows like Dirty Computer, because it's like an album called Dirty Computer, so it's based in that universe. We just follow that concept, which was really cool, actually. I enjoyed some parts of it. Some parts was just like confusing, like requiring me to understand a lot of things, and I was just like, my brain cells is not this smart. But my favorite was actually Time Box, because I have a lot of thought into a concept like Time Box before, so it really fascinated me to see another art to do this. And yeah, I had an okay time. I don't know what I'm rating it yet, but I'll show you soon, so I will make up my mind then. Yay. But it was really interesting, very different, and I'm not regretting that I read it at all. And then the last book for bookoplathon, but I read a few more, and that was The King's Traitor by Jeff Wheeler, and I was to read a book like wintry, and as you can see, it's like a very wintry cover, and in this one called Owen, who is a different age in every book. And then in the first one, he's basically kind of like a hostage to the king because his family was traitors. And then we just see him survive his court. He also has fountain magic. And then in this one, he has evolved and become an adult and stuff. And stuff happens. A bit of betrayal, a bit of stabby, a bit of sad romancy. And yeah, I think there's more books in the series. Don't know if you follow Owen still. Like, I know it's more books in the series, but there's 2 prequels, 3 sequels. I have all of them, and I'm gonna read them. But like, I don't know if you still follow Owen. I hope you do. It really grew on me, and I feel like the first book was okay. The second book I liked me even more. The third book I liked even more. So I think the book just became better and better, which was a really great time. And I had a good time, so now I need to actually finish the whole series before the end of the year. Realize there's only 3 months left. How's that gonna happen? Don't know, but I'm sure it will be okay. Maybe, perhaps, I don't know. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, I think. I don't remember. And that was all the books for bookoplathon. And now for the rest of the books that I read, I picked up A Memory Called Empire by Carly Martin, which is the first book in the series. And I mean, those sort of things, that's why I finally read it. Personally, didn't love this. Thought it was written very confusingly. Maybe it's just my sci-fi brain is not smart enough to get this, but I just really didn't get this book. And I was just very confused the whole way through. Did get the story though, but at the end, when I think about the story, it wasn't really that interesting either. And I was just like, I don't get the hype. I don't get why this is good. It's good because it's written smart. Because I just didn't love it. Even like the plot twist, I didn't care. I don't know. It was really not for me. I think I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. Probably actually deserving a 2, but I am just rounding up to 3. But yeah, we shall see what I feel when I read a sequel very soon. But I don't know, I was just very disappointed. I thought I would love it, so I'm a bit sad. I don't know why I didn't love it, but I just didn't. Then I read Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. So I was on Sprints with my patrons, and they said that this was a really dark romance thing, and I bought a Kindle and I read it there and then. So this one actually just follows two people that is chained up in a basement and forced to do stuff, which is obviously really, really bad. And I don't support this behavior in any way, but I just wanted like a really dark shit romance where like they're forced to do dark shit. And I thought the story would focus on, you know, on that I'm in the basement, being forced to do horrible things. It sounds horrible that I wanted this, but that's what I wanted, and it's not focused on that at all. It's more focused on the trauma and what they go through and how they bonded over it, and I was like, I don't care. I could not care less of what I wanted and how sad they were and boohoo. Like, I know it sounds pretty horrible, but it's like, that's not what I wanted. I just wanted them to like, well, fucking not care, and that's what I wanted in life, but that's not what the focus was about. And I was just way bored, and I was very severely disappointed in this and thought it would be much darker than it was, just because like I was in a certain kind of mood, and that's like this, if I was gonna read Spot, I just wanted to be like some dark shit, but it wasn't, sadly. So didn't love it. I think I gave it like 2 stars or something. Then I read Aces Wild by Amanda Davitt. This one I read because it's an arc, and I posted a review of it. So it did basically follow main character Jack, and then his mom comes into prison for fraud, and then he wanna like find out the real thing that happened, and like gets all his friends to come and help him, and together they gonna go in this heist. They're all ace, that's how they met. And this not really focused on the heist. I think the heist was kind of bad. Like the heist was not the focus of the story, but I really loved the friendship in this, and I thought it was a really fun read. So I had a good time with it. I would recommend it. I think I gave it like 3.75 out of 5 stars. And again, check out my review for more thoughts on this. Then I read The Door of No Return by Kwame Alexander. This one is the first book in a trilogy, kind of middle grade YA-ish, and it's written in verse, so it's like very little text on each page, which was very interesting. And they follow our main character, Coffee. He's 11-year-old, he lives in this village, he's super fine. They are in Africa in, I think we had a year here, 1860, in the Asante Kingdom, which is today's Ghana. He's just living his life, and then his brother is chosen out to present their kingdom in this wrestling competition. Things go wrong really fast, and it's quite sad what happens. And then he's basically sold into slavery, and I wanted to say that even though like you don't know that's gonna happen out of the synopsis, but I feel like you have to know that going into this book, because it's a pretty big thing, and I feel like people should know this because it can be a huge trigger for them. But yeah, I thought the story itself was beautiful. I just don't know what I feel about what's happening, because I don't know like how black people would feel comfortable reading it, etc. But how it was written was definitely beautiful, and it was really fun. Like it was really interesting and really immersive, following Coffee when he was living his life. Then even though with the thing that just I said will happen, I feel like it still had some twists, or like what happens after that. So yeah, I thought it was a good one, and I definitely want to continue with the story. And again, a review down below if you want to hear more thoughts of basically what I just said. Yay. And then I read 2 Korean books, because I got this email where like, you want to win a trip to Korea and post a video about this, and I was like, okay. So I posted a little vlog for the Korean Institute of Translation book review contest. I don't remember what it was called, but I read 2 books with that. So I read The Plotters by Eun-soo Kim, and this one just basically followed Risang, who is an assassin, and he's been an assassin all his whole life, and then he suddenly is like, do I want to do this anymore? Let's take down the people who has been making us do this for years. And that's what happens, and it's just like interesting. It's definitely very different from like other Assassin's books I read. I just felt like the writing was a bit dry, and it was like amazing in the best books in the whole world, but I did enjoy it. And I think I'm giving like 3.5 out of 5 stars. I don't know if I'm giving it 3 or rounding up to 4. I don't remember what I gave it, but it was definitely interesting, just like not the best ever. I will leave the vlog where I read the books down below if you want to check that out. And then I also for the same vlog read Almond by Moon Pyong-sun, and this one follows a main character Junya, who has this brain condition called alexithymia, which makes it like hard for him to feel certain emotions or all emotions, so he doesn't really feel fear or anger or joy and stuff like that. Then this horrible thing happens to his family, so he's kind of left standing on his own, and he's never been on his own before, without people telling him like how he should react to people around him, because he reacts quite differently. I don't know how this condition is done like for people actually have this condition, like it's probably not done well. I don't even know. But the book itself was still interesting, and he forms his friendship with this dude, and it's very, very interesting. It was written in a way that it was such easy to read and get into, and you really care for this character. So like I like the book, but I cannot speak for how this condition is presented in the book. And I think I'm giving it like 4 stars, 3.5. But yeah, I had a good time, and again, we'll leave that vlog down below. Then I read Last of the Talons, which again I also read to post a review of it on my channel, which I have, and you can check that out down below. So this one is based like on Korean mythology, etc., and it follows 18-year-old Lena, who is like a assassin. She should be on Sampo. She works for this boss that took down her own gang, and she hates him. He's then kidnapped by the Pied Piper, aka a Dokkaebi, aka like a demon thingy, magical creature thingy. She's then sent after to retrieve him, because another deal is that if she kills the Pied Piper, he had a name, I don't remember, Rui, he will let her take him, like the boss, home, and then she's like her sister in a way, and then she tries to kill him, and she's really quite horrible at it, I will say. And we also know that they're gonna get a thing, and it just says in this game of cat and mouse there are no rules. It doesn't feel like even a game. It doesn't even feel like an assessment to say that like that, but I sound really negative now because the story did really grow on me after a while. Like I really cared for what was gonna happen. I actually had a really great time with it in the end. It was just like the first half of the book frustrated me a lot, and I was really pissed. But then like it just grew on me, and I had a really great time. It's just like it's trying to be like this really like, oh, let's have like dynamic between these two main characters and make it really like snarky, and I was like it is not, and it bothers me. It was just like trying really hard to be that, and I didn't feel like it, so that was a bit annoying. But overall, did actually enjoy it, and I give it like 3.5, I think. And yeah, check down my review down below where I go in full length about how I feel the main character was stupid. And the last physical book I read for September was Project Hail Mary by Annie Weir, and this one is a book by this author that wrote The Martian, which I haven't actually read, but I watched The Woman and loved it. And in this one we have our main character Ryland Grace, who walks up in space, and it's like, what am I doing here? Doesn't remember anything. He's like all alone in space, and then we get this flashback of what happened and why he's there. But basically he's out there to perhaps save humanity, but how and why, you have to read the book to find out. I love how the book slowly reveals things. It was just so good, so well written. And then he maybe meets, I would just say, another character that it was so good. It was like the best thing. I wanted to cry. It was so wholesome. I loved how the story went. I loved the character development we got. I just loved it so much. It was like sometimes a bit technical with like science stuff, and while like I didn't understand all the science stuff that was happening on page, I understand why we had to go through the science stuff, and even me, a stupid person, understood it, and I thought that was quite impressive by the author. Even though like I feel like we went on length about it sometimes, which like I was getting confused, but I did understand the result we got in the end. Immersive, really know the characters, love how it was written, very accessible, love the story. It's like almost 500 pages, but it didn't feel like that at all, and it was just so good. And I know I heard a lot of praises about this book, but it really smacked, and it was just such a good time, and I feel like you just have to read it to find out. I hope they make an adaptation of this, because I feel like it would be really cool, and I just loved how the story went and what was the things about the story in general, and I had such a good time. So yeah, I give it a really strong 4 out of 5 stars. I feel like it could have maybe gotten a 5, but I'm picky, so I'm giving it 4, because I feel like it's not a 5-star book for me, but I feel like it deserves 5 stars. So like the whole enjoyment / what the book deserves is hard, so yeah. And then the last book I finished for the month was Lux by Brandon Sanderson and Stephen Bowles. This one is a Reckoners book on audio only, and it's set in the Reckoners world. I don't know, after or the same time as Reckoners is happening. Don't know. I guess maybe, I don't remember what happened in the end of Reckoners, so I don't actually know. But we follow just another branch of Reckoners, and I really loved seeing like another side of Reckoners from like what we get in the main books, and seeing like another mission, etc. I really loved the beginning, whereas like we were getting to know the characters and like things were happening, and like we were like slowly going through towards this big fight. The big fight lasted way too long. We were just going around and around in circles and back and forth and up and down, and just like, we're gonna do this, no, that doesn't work, we're gonna do this, no, that doesn't work, and it just lasted for ages, and I lost interest after a while, to be honest. it was just like so much like we're gonna do this and this and this, and it didn't feel like the normal like plot twist and like really fast paced ending that I'm used to in the regular books, I guess. And while like I did enjoy like the different powers and I did enjoy the different aspects and did enjoy the characters, it just like dragged on. I feel like the beginning was like this long, like I don't know even like lengthwise, but I feel like it was this long and super enjoyable, super into the story. I was just like listening, so immersed. And then I felt like the ending was like this long, whereas we were just going through the same motions over and over and over. And at that point we had revealed everything, so it wasn't even like a big deal when stuff happened. And I was just like, I don't care at this point. It is just too long, this part of the book. But I feel like it would still be a cool adaptation. I feel like because then the pacing would be like dun 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 and really intense. And I don't know. I don't know why I keep talking about adaptations. I just want to see things visually. But do I? Yeah. But yeah, I ended up enjoying it still. I think I'm giving it 4 out of 5 stars. But it was still like, I was just really just like tired by it in the end. And yeah, that is all the thoughts on all the books I read in September. As I said, I read 27 books and had a good time. And I read stuff for different reasons, etc. So yay. Now in October, I'm doing a bit more chill, but I will probably end up reading 20 books anyway. Let's be real. Okay, halfway. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Oh, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to Becca and Christy for hosting these 2 great readathons I had a great time with. And yeah, you will see me soon in a new one. Check down my Patreon down below if you want lots of reading sprints and other funny perks. And yeah, you will see me soon in a new one. Bye!